Hey there, Matt Clark here. Welcome to Module 7 of Amazing Selling Machine. So at this point, let's go all the way back to the beginning. You got your Seller Central account set up, you found your product, found your supplier, got your listing set up. That takes us modules 1 through 4 of Amazing Selling Machine. Then module 5 and 6, the ones that we just covered, is all on promotion, ramping up sales. So no matter where you're at in this business, use those two modules to really kick up sales. But once you start getting sales coming in, that's when the other side of this business kicks in. And that's what this module, module 7, is all about, your operations. Now, to a lot of us, myself included, operations is not that sexy of a business topic. But here's what is. We found out after we started teaching thousands of people how to do this business that the people who were able to turn their operations, you handling customer service and whatnot, and specifically customer service, into 5-star reviews, those are the people that started doing extremely well with this program. So this section is a little bit on how to use the different reports and how to run the operations of this business, but equally as important to your sales and really ramping things up is how to turn the sales that you get, that you've learned how to ramp up through modules 5 and 6, how to turn those into 5-star reviews. Because as you know, on Amazon, reviews are like gold. So jump right in right now to module 7 of Amazing Selling Machine. So this video is about how to get ranked for any keyword you want on Amazon. Now I mentioned this in one of the very earliest videos of the Amazing Selling Machine. I believe it was in module 1. But this is the most important thing in terms of marketing on Amazon and making money with Amazon that you could possibly learn. It took me a good 3 years to figure this out, a lot more testing. Even long after I was doing well on Amazon, I was kind of just throwing stuff against the wall and stuff was sticking, so I kept doing a lot of different things and, overall things worked out. But it really took a while really to hone in what exactly produced the biggest and fastest results on Amazon. And it's really this. It's getting ranked for high value keywords on Amazon. Because you learned in one of the other videos is that getting ranked for categories is nice. I mean, categories may get you some traffic, but most people don't find products by looking through categories. They find them just by going right here to Amazon search bar and searching for something. So for example, let's go ahead and pull out the good old favorite silicone spatula example. Go ahead and do a search for that. So somebody, if they're looking for this product, they would just go here, search this keyword and any other related keyword. And then, what's extremely valuable in terms of making money on Amazon? It's getting ranked in one of these top spots for this keyword. Now, depending on the product and depending on the keyword, you may make plenty of money being ranked way down here, in one of these other positions. But ideally, you're ranked in one of the top 3, top 4 positions. That's ideal, but you could still do well in other positions. But the question is how you get ranked for these. Really, the way it happens is, first off, you have to lay the foundation, which by this point you should have already done, or if you're still waiting for your product and that sort of thing, you will be doing based off what you learned in the earlier modules, is you have to lay the foundation of making sure your product converts better than any other product in your market. Because when that happens, then what I'm about to tell you will naturally happen. So the way products really get ranked for keywords on Amazon is Amazon sees that when somebody searches for this and somebody buys one of these products, that product basically gets, who knows how Amazon actually tracks this stuff internally, but gets the equivalent of a point. Gets a point for basically saying that when somebody searched for this, they bought this product. Amazon's like, okay, cool. And then when that happens a whole lot, Amazon's like, wait a minute, if somebody's searching for this and they keep buying this product, then let's keep bumping this one up because a lot of other people will probably buy that product based off of this keyword search. So eventually that product keeps rising up in rankings because people are searching for this, buying this, searching for this, buying this. And then eventually, it gets to the top of the rankings, one of the top positions, and that's really how it happens. So the whole key to this is that you want to get people buying your product after they've searched for a keyword. Now, what if you've just added your product and you don't rank in one of these top positions, but you still want to get people to buy your product through this keyword? Well, no matter what source of traffic you're driving, which you'll learn more about in this module, you've already learned some other traffic strategies. Go ahead and review those because you can use those with this strategy and any other traffic source you can possibly think of. All you have to do is, rather than giving people a direct link to the product, tell them to go search for the keyword, then buy your product. Because if your product, even if it's ranked on, say you look through here, you're like, okay, I don't see my product. I'm on page 3. Let's go to page 4. Okay, fine. I finally found my product. Now, this is just a random one. I have no idea what this is. But say this was your product. Then everybody you tell, you're saying, hey, I'm not going to give you the direct link to my Amazon product, but here's an image, here's what it's called. Search for this keyword, silicone spatula, and go to about page 4. It bounces around a little bit, but tell them to keep searching through the pages till they get to page 4, and then go buy your product, rather than giving them the direct link. That's going to help your product rise up in the rankings. So this is extremely important. I cannot stress how important this is and how valuable this is. This sort of information is not available anywhere else. Use this idea in any sort of traffic you possibly can. Now, some you may have to give them direct link. That's fine, but any sort of traffic where you can control how that person finds your product, make sure they search for one or more of your top keywords first, then go buy your product.
This lesson is about using a super URL to make it easier for purchasing through a search. As Matt covered in the previous video, it is beneficial to have people buy your product after searching for your product using your keywords. However, this can be difficult sometimes, especially when your product is new. This might be because, to start with, your product is ranking quite low and is difficult for people to find. But what the super URL does is give you a URL you can use that incorporates the search terms in it. Now, there are many versions of the super URL, some of which are incredibly complex. However, having tested this thoroughly, we discovered there really is little difference between them, so the easiest one is the best one in our view. Now, we also discovered through testing that this method is most powerful at the beginning of your product's life. Once your product becomes established, the power of the keyword search does drop, and especially at the top of the rankings where other factors like sales and conversion rates have a lot more weight. Despite that, it is still an excellent method to start with, and especially when you are getting friends and family to buy your product, or even on coupon sites and when using paid traffic. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to create your super URL, and in fact Amazon do all the work for you, as the simple version of the super URL is actually a naturally occurring Amazon URL, unlike the other versions. Okay, so here we are on Amazon, and what I'm going to do is use the old favorite silicone spatulas as an example. So if your product was a silicone spatula, or that was the main keyword for it, you just put in silicone spatula into the search bar. Now when you do this, it's obviously going to give you all these options, but you just want to stick to the keyword you're using and then click go. Don't go through categories. Okay, you can see it's brought up the search. Now, when you first start, you're obviously not going to be on the first page. You're probably going to be maybe even 7 or 8 pages down, or even more. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to scroll down and go through a couple of pages just to show you how exactly you do it. So basically you would scroll down looking for your product. It's not on the first page, so you click on next page, scroll down again. If it's still not there, you click on next page, and you keep going until you find it. Now, for the sake of this video, we're actually going to say that this product, the Audi silicone spatula set, is actually our product and the one we want to get the super URL for. So all we need to do once we find our product is click on the title. And then, depending on your browser, if you click in the browser window at the top, right click, copy it, that is it. That is actually your super URL. Just going to paste it in here so you can see it a little clearer. As you can see, it's a very long URL, but don't worry about that, it still works. And as you can see, it's got our main title at the beginning, and then the rest of it is actually where the magic comes in for being the search. Now, because this is a naturally occurring Amazon URL, from what we can see when we test, actually using this has the same effect of actually going through and manually searching for the product. So all you need to do is give this URL to your friends and family to get them to buy the product if you want to get reviews from them. You can also use it for links on coupon sites. You can use it in an AdWords campaign or a Facebook campaign. And as I said previously, it's very powerful early on in your product's life. And you don't just have to stick at one keyword, you can use more than one. For instance, if we go back to Amazon, we might use another keyword that we want to rank for, like silicone spatula set. You search for it, you do it exactly the same as we did before. You scroll down, And we're actually on the first page this time. Shame it's not our product. And you click on the title, and there's your URL. And you'll notice if you go to the end that it's actually got a different keyword, silicon spatula set. So you could use this one as well. You don't just have to use one URL. You could do another AdWords campaign with a different URL. You could use the different URL on another coupon site. You could get different friends and family to use this link. And as I say, this is very, very powerful to get started with. We highly recommend you use it. So when you're ready to go and get your friends and family to buy your product, give them this URL and it will help you rank much faster. But that's it for this video. Take care.
So this video is about review magnets, using customer service to sell more on Amazon. Amazon, if you look at any sort of recent surveys, that sort of thing, Amazon's constantly rated as one of the companies that provides the absolute best customer service. Now you as somebody selling on Amazon, they are lending you their reputation. So they are very strict about how you treat their customers. But you can actually keep them happy, but go above and beyond to help benefit yourself. The first reason customer service is so important on Amazon is because they track everything you do. You have to provide good customer service or your account can get in trouble, especially when you first start selling out and you are a new vendor on Amazon. The second reason is getting more product reviews. Because if you treat customers well, provide them useful information, answer their questions, and really take care of them, a lot of those interactions can lead to more product reviews for all of your products on Amazon. The third reason is getting repeat customers. Believe it or not, even though you're selling on Amazon, if you treat people well, treat the people that buy from you well on Amazon, those same customers will come back time and time again to buy more products from you as a seller or you as a product brand. They'll want to buy more products from this brand because they had such a good experience the first time. So one thing that we like to clarify when we teach people how to sell on Amazon and how to provide good customer service is what we call getting 5-star customer service on a 4-star product. Now everything I've taught you about finding great products still applies. You want to get the absolute best products you possibly can. But for whatever reason, not every product is going to work out for every person that buys it. But you can save a lot of hassle if you treat people extremely well. I mean, maybe they just have a question about the product. Otherwise, they may have a great customer experience, but maybe they just have a question about the product. By you answering those questions, really helping them out, a lot of that can turn to what could have been a negative situation, which avoiding negative reviews on Amazon is almost as good as getting positive reviews. So avoiding those negative situations could actually turn into positive reviews for your product and help catapult you above your competition. Now we provide a tool you'll notice below for following up with your Amazon customers in a systematic way. Now this tool is extremely powerful. I wish I would have had this when I first started out selling on Amazon, because this is going to be your pretty much most powerful automatic tool for generating customer reviews and positive customer experiences for a long, long time. So this video is all about managing your inventory when you're selling on Amazon. So the two main rules of inventory management are, number one, don't run out. Now, when you're first starting out, like I said previously, running out of inventory is perfectly fine. It's a little tough to estimate how many you're really going to sell because Amazon doesn't give you that data. So it's perfectly fine when you're first starting out. But once you get up and running, you really never want to run out of inventory. Because, when you're out of inventory, you're obviously not making any money while you're out. But also your rankings can actually drop a little bit. If you run out of inventory and then you're out for maybe a few days or a week, you'll find that when you get inventory back, your rankings will have dropped a little bit. Not like you're starting back from zero, but it's just a little bit you'll have to build back up. So you don't want to have to deal with that. But the second rule of inventory management is you never want to order too much inventory. So it's a little bit of an art, a little bit of science when it comes to inventory management, because if you order too much inventory, then that's just cash that's been eaten up. You had to spend more money and it's just sitting there, hopefully being sold eventually, but while it's sitting there, it's just cash you've tied up in inventory. So you don't want to order too much either. Now, you're going to need to know your inventory lead time, which means On the day you decide you need to order more inventory and you call up your supplier or email your supplier to order more inventory, how long does it take from that point until those products that you order are literally available for sale? Now that's going to include things such as once you call your supplier and tell them you need to order more inventory, how long does it take for them to put that order into their system? Once it's in their system, how long does it take them to prepare the products for sale? Once that's done, then they have to ship them to wherever they're going to be fulfilled. If they're doing fulfillment for you, maybe that cuts down a little bit, but if you use what I teach you is using fulfillment by Amazon, you have to wait for them to ship it there, and then you have to wait for fulfillment by Amazon or FBA to process the inventory. So you're going to need to know all of those different aspects, because the next step is to figure out the number of units you're selling each day. Pretty easy to look at inside of Amazon. Because once you know how many units you're selling each day, you can calculate how many days of inventory you have left. For example, if you're selling 10 units a day and you have 100 units in stock, then you know you have approximately, on average, about 10 days of inventory left. Now, if you figure out that your lead time is maybe 14 days, 2 weeks, then if you have 10 days of inventory left, it takes you 14 weeks to get 14 days to get your products back in stock, then you're going to have 4 days where you're out of inventory. Something that's not very good, so you're going to need to watch out for all of that. Now, one thing to think about is that when you're calculating how many days of inventory you have left, you're going to need to take into account holidays and other factors like that, because depending on the products you sell, for example, Christmas or the day before may be a big time for your product selling because it's products people buy as gifts and that sort of thing. On the other hand, if you're in a different market, those may be horrible sales days because they're just not products people buy as gifts. Something to keep in mind, so if you see a big spike or a big drop, you're going to want to average that versus the other days that you've seen your product selling, so you get an accurate number of days of inventory remaining. Now, whenever you're ready to place more orders with your supplier, here's a big tip for making more money and saving money. First off, you're going to want to know the quantity discounts you can get. For example, if you may order just a few more units, you may drop in a price tier with your supplier and save money on the entire order. That's one thing to keep into account, and that may also help you know how much inventory you want to order, because if you order a little bit more, yeah, you may have a little more inventory in stock, but you save a lot of money and make more money per unit sold. Second thing to think about is about every 2 to 3 times you reorder, I recommend asking your supplier for a discount. If you can save as little as 10 cents a unit, that sort of thing adds up over time and really just makes you more money for free just because you're the only person who actually asked the supplier for a discount. So in this video, I'm going to briefly touch on what your Amazon seller rating is and why it's important. So if I'm just over on Amazon.com and I'm just a, average consumer and I go and I'm looking for an iPhone 5 case, for example, and I click on this and then I'm saying, okay, cool, this one looks good. So I'm going to click on this first product. And then, this one right here, it's fulfilled by Amazon, but I'm like, who is Rirth? I don't even know how to pronounce this, don't know who the seller is. So, I'm not really sure if I want to buy from this person, even though it's fulfilled by Amazon, but, they could be selling, fake products. It could be poor quality and may get poor customer service. So I'm going to go click on them and check them out before I go ahead and hit the add to cart button. So if I click on that seller name, then as you can see, they have a 4.9 feedback rating, which is what we're talking about. 4.9 stars over the past 12 months. They have 18,000 ratings, which is a large number of ratings. Their overall rating is, 4.9, so it's about a 5-star. So okay, good. They're a good, reputable seller. And then as you can see here, here's recent feedback about this seller. Product arrived a day earlier. Okay, good. Loved it. Dropped it once. Cracked it. Return process kind of inconvenient. Okay, maybe not so good. And you can see how they've sort of tracked over time. Now this, you're going to have a page just like this once you get up and running and selling on Amazon. So people will be clicking on this thing. It's not going to be a huge percentage, but some people will be clicking and looking at this page to see how you're doing. So this is actually pretty important, even if you're selling your own brand. Now, we haven't touched on this much, but it's good for you to know just for your general Amazon knowledge, because when you're selling your own product, it doesn't matter as much. But if you were selling, for example, other products that are already listed on Amazon, as you can see here, 10 new from $8.99, then your seller rating, as you can see, 86% positive, 98% positive, 98% positive. This is the one in the buy box, also because it's got a lower price. But this also helps you claim the buy box too. So not a big thing to worry about because we're all about selling our own products, but that's something to know also. So you want to keep your seller rating as high as possible just to maximize every potential sale. So now I'm going to go jump over inside of Amazon, inside of Seller Central, to show you what it looks like from inside of there. So as you can see, I'm over inside of Seller Central now. All I've done is clicked on Performance and then Feedback. So if you click Performance and Feedback, you'll be able to see your overall seller rating. As you can see inside of this account, it's a relatively new account, but it's 4.8 stars over the past 12 months, 1,772 ratings. As you can see, there's been a few issues. I mean, there are a few people that have written negative seller feedbacks. It was mainly due to an issue that occurred here with a shipping company that messed up a batch of orders, caused a lot of problems, but things keep moving along. So the thing is you want to try to maintain as high as possible of seller feedback rating, and you'll see in the section below this called View Your Current Feedback, you'll be able to see the feedback ratings that people are leaving that contribute to your overall feedback rating. You really want them to be all five-star ratings. And I'm going to show you in the next video how you can get almost all negative ratings removed, which I didn't know. Somebody actually taught me myself. But yeah, it's an awesome trick and it's completely legitimate, and it's just due to an error in Amazon's system that allows those ratings to get in there in the first place. But I'll show you exactly how to remove them. So here's how to get 99% of your negative seller feedback removed. Now, if you go to your performance and then feedback screen, and if you ever see one that's, pretty much four or below, I mean, really 3 or below, but even 4, because I mean, if you want a 5-star rating, I mean, 4 drags that down. So really anything below a 5, most of them are going to be, some related to your seller account, which is fine. So if, it's hopefully something good related to people receiving their orders on time, but pretty much if it's ever negative, or especially if it's a feedback about the product and not about the seller, that's not supposed to be a seller feedback, and Amazon will remove those. So what you have to do is go ahead and look and find your negative feedback rating. So you just go to, remember, performance and then feedback, and then all you do is go copy the order ID. So you go ahead and copy that, and then at the bottom of your page, it's cut off on the screen here, but at the bottom of your page, all you do is go contact seller support. Then over on the contact seller support screen, you just go to orders, customer feedback problems, and then you'll just say problem with seller feedback. What you put in here doesn't really matter a whole lot. And then you paste the order ID in here, click check, then just scroll down and you'll see there's some different fields you can enter. And for example, you can check that it's product feedback or that it's other. I mean, that's the reason you're appealing. So what portion qualifies? All of it. Additional information. This is product feedback, not seller feedback. Please remove it. Thank you. So just type in something like that and make sure you check one of these boxes. And then all you do is at the bottom of the screen is click send message. Now give this a day or two, and if it gets rejected, they say they don't want to remove it, submit this again, because you'll likely get a different person that likely will remove it. I mean, this is incredibly powerful. So yeah, do this whenever you get any sort of negative feedback, and that'll help you keep a higher feedback rating than just about any of your competitors.
Converting seller ratings into reviews. In this video, I'm going to show you a powerful way of getting reviews by converting seller rating feedback into reviews. As you sell more and more products, you are going to get customers posting seller feedback that actually either contains a product review or at least elements of a product review. The reason customers do this is that they simply do not understand the difference between seller feedback and a product review. Now, you should be asking for seller feedback in your email sequence, but you are still going to get customers who post about your product instead of feedback on your actual seller performance. When this happens, you just need to contact them. The best approach. We have tested this a lot, and the best method was actually offered by a member way back in ASM 1. Now, the last thing you actually want to do is tell the customer they actually did something wrong. So how do we get them to change their rating to a review without blaming them? Simple. We blame Amazon. So instead of telling the customer they did something wrong by posting a product review as seller rating, we tell them that Amazon put their product review in the wrong place. It really is simple and very effective and can get you product reviews that you otherwise might miss. Now in the next slides, I will cover the skeleton of the message you send them, but it is up to you to fill it out. We are not going to give you an example of a complete email because we don't want everyone sending exactly the same email. So say hello and use their name. It's always very, very important you use their name. If you have their first name in the information, then use it. Thank them for their seller rating. It's very important you make them feel good about themselves for helping you. Explain that it appears Amazon have put it in the wrong place, in your seller rating and not as a product review. Ask very nicely if they could spare a couple of minutes to post it as a review. You then paste their seller feedback into the email. This makes it easy for them to complete the product review. You give them the link to submit a review for your product, and you tell them they can just copy and paste their feedback from the email and paste it into the review form, and it will only take them a minute or two. Make sure you add that you understand that they have a busy life, but that you really would appreciate it. Thank them again for their seller feedback and for being a customer. Always make them feel that they are a valuable customer to you. So, in conclusion, use this method whenever you see a product review come in as a seller rating. There is no need to remove the seller rating using Matt's method unless it is bringing down your overall rating. And as the only kind of product reviews you're going to want are going to be a minimum of 4-star, it's a safe bet that you're not going to want to remove the seller rating. Finally, do not be disappointed if your customer does not change it or post your product review. You are going to be asking for a review in your email sequence anyway, so hopefully if you miss them on this, you will get them when they receive that email. So take action. Go and see if you've got any of these seller ratings that could actually be a product review. And email that customer and get yourself a product review. That's it for this video. Take care. The ASM Daily Jobs Checklist. In this lesson, I'm going to give you a daily checklist to download and go through the tasks with you. You do not have to complete all the tasks, but they are things we recommend you try and do every day to grow your business. In Module 8, you'll be learning about outsourcing, but we do recommend you get used to doing these tasks yourself to start with. So download the checklist below this video, and then watch the rest of this video explaining each task briefly. You will notice that many of these tasks are inside Seller Central, and it is very important that you log in to Seller Central at the very least once per day. Myself, I log into it probably 7 or 8 times every day to check on what's going on. But some people might say I'm a bit obsessive. So you should have your checklist open now. The first one is pretty self-explanatory. Log into Seller Central. As I've said, I do this multiple times every day, and I recommend that you do it at least 3 or 4 times a day yourself. Next, check for new seller feedback and respond where appropriate. Check your seller feedback for any bad ratings and see if you can have them removed. Remember, after watching Matt's video, you can have them removed if they are about the product and not about your performance as a seller, and you can also have them removed if the complaint is about delivery time or anything related to delivery, because that would be an FBA issue, and if you report it as an FBA issue, they will strike that rating. Next, check your seller feedback for any product reviews that can be converted. Make sure you watch the video about converting seller feedback into product reviews. Next, check your inventory levels. I'm not going to go through that in this video, as there is an entire video on maintaining your inventory levels. It's important that you check your inventory every day. Check for any new questions on your listing, and also comments on those questions and respond. This is another great way of maintaining contact with your customers and showing other prospective customers that you care about your existing customers and your product. Also, check for refunds and contact any customer that gives you a refund. Don't just think, oh, they've refunded, they're gone, they're no use to me anymore. It's not true. Contact them, be nice, and try and find out why they refunded. In many instances, you can actually turn this round into getting another sale and even a 5-star review. We've seen that happen on many occasions with other ASM members. Next, check for any new reviews and respond to them as well. Again, this is about showing prospective customers that you care about your existing customers and your product. Check and reply to any new customer messages within the Amazon messaging system. Responding to these messages in a timely fashion is one of the criteria that Amazon rates your account on. So always try and reply to them as soon as you possibly can. Now, these remaining jobs I'm going to be talking about are completed outside of Seller Central. First, check your Seller Central email account to see if there's anything you missed when you logged into Seller Central or anything you need to respond to. Next, check your Amazon rankings for your primary keyword or keywords. It's always a good idea to check this every day to see how it's going. And also make sure you are logged out of Seller Central when you do this, because being logged into Amazon can actually skew the results. Log in to the Amazing Academy and complete your Alliance jobs for the day. If you get in the habit of doing your 6 Alliance jobs every day, you will be amazed how quickly you can get these done. Next, check your company brand product sites or Facebook pages, and if they are interactive, respond to any messages on those sites. Lastly, do at least one promotion job for your product or products. I'm going to separate that now and talk about the promotion jobs that you can do every day. So daily promotions. Create a video and submit with the video tool. If you've watched the training for the video tool, I actually showed you a very easy way of paying $5 and getting these videos created for you to take out the hassle of actually creating them yourself. Submitting videos on a regular basis with the video tool has been proven to boost your results inside the rankings of both Amazon and of Google. So do try and do them on a regular basis. Create a press release and submit with the PR tool. Now remember, you want to be doing at least one of these every day. You don't need to do all of these every day. But do create a press release and submit it with the PR tool. Again, submitting regular press releases will boost your rankings and will also help with your brand recognition. Write an article or a post and put it on your company brand website or Facebook page. This is especially important for your company or product Facebook page. Having regular content on there will mean that Facebook will help you rank better because you are posting regular content, and you will also get more interaction from the people that might have liked your page. Next, perform a social action and link to one of the above pages that you've created or any existing page, and of course your product page. This could be making a small tweet, or again using Facebook to post about your product or one of the other pages you've created. If you've got plenty of images, upload an image to Pinterest and again link to your product page or one of the other pages. Social proof and social interaction are very, very important in the search engines these days. So it's critical you try and do this on a regular basis too. Don't just rely on the Alliance tool to do this for you. Doing it yourself is another great way of expanding your brand recognition. Lastly, add social jobs to the Alliance tool for new content that you've created above. So go in, create a Facebook job to share the video you created, or the press release you created, or the blog post you've created. Again, using the Alliance tool for this is a very, very valuable way of maintaining your brand awareness and also of getting backlinks to all the content you're creating. Try and follow this checklist and complete everything on it every day. Now, everyone's got their own different time restrictions, whether they've got a full-time job or they work at home or whatever it is. But just try and do it every day. If you can't do it every day, then every other day. But the more you do this, the more you will get used to it, and the easier it will become, and the faster you'll be able to do it. And in Module 8, we're going to show you ways of outsourcing some of these jobs so you don't have to do them yourself every day. But that's it for this video. Take care.
So now that you have one product on Amazon, you've added the product, you've optimized everything on the detail page, you've done some really cool strategies to promote that product. Now you've really learned exactly how to launch and promote a product on Amazon. We have some more stuff coming for you in the next module, but you really have a good foundation of how to launch an Amazon product. So once you have that product up and running, then it's time to start thinking about if you want to expand the number of products you sell. Maybe you want to add another one or another couple ones. How to evaluate whether or not it's time to expand to a new product? First off, you want to make sure that the first one is profitable, meaning that you have inventory under control and you're able to keep that product in stock, it has sales coming in, and that sort of thing. So you want to make sure that part is under control. The second thing is customer service. If you're getting backed up with customer service, not a good problem to have, and you want to make sure that that is completely under control before you even consider launching a new product. Also, you want to make sure that you've done all the promotion stuff we've taught you in the previous lessons and previous modules. You make sure you've applied all of that, learned how to do all of that to your first Amazon product. Once you've done all those things, then you can start considering adding more product or pursuing other product opportunities. So what products should you add, you might be wondering? Ideally, they are products related to and can go under the same brand as your first product. The reason for that is that when you start expanding outside of Amazon, it's good to have a good, solid, coherent brand with multiple products because you can do a lot of things there, and I'm going to teach you more about that in Module 8. Also, another big reason for launching a product in the same sort of market is really familiarity and how easy it is to do. Believe it or not, even in different markets on Amazon, products are slightly different as how they perform and also setting them up and that sort of thing. So you're kind of splitting efforts by trying to jump into multiple markets unnecessarily. With that said, if there's a product you really want to pursue, feel free to do that. It's obviously, if it's completely unrelated, it's going to go under a different brand and you're going to be doing a few different things in Module 8, but that's perfectly fine also. Now, if your first product, for whatever reason, is not doing well on Amazon, that's perfectly fine. We've all had products that didn't do well. They just didn't work out for whatever reason. That's perfectly fine. First thing to think about is there anything else you could possibly do to promote that on Amazon? Maybe some of the promotion you've done just needs a little more time to work out. If that's not the case, if you don't feel that is the case, and you just feel that product's not something you want to keep pursuing, that's perfectly fine. You've learned exactly how to launch a product on Amazon. Everything you've learned can be used to launch any new product on Amazon in that same market or in another market.
In this lesson, we're going to walk you through the incredibly valuable data that Amazon gives you on your business within their own reporting system. And we're also going to cover a daily tracking spreadsheet that you can use to help manage and grow your business. And this spreadsheet is the exact same spreadsheet that Jason himself has developed over the past year and uses to manage his business. Now, one thing you probably want to know is why is it so important to know your numbers and to pay attention to these reports? And the reason is you're here to build a real, successful, long-term business. And one quality that you'll find in most successful businesses is that they constantly strive to understand everything they can about their own business and the market they operate within. This includes how well their sales are going, how they're performing compared to their competitors, which marketing strategies are or are not working, how efficiently they are managing their inventory, and countless other aspects of the business. Now, while many companies struggle and spend a lot of time and money to try and develop a reporting system, Amazon makes it incredibly easy for us. They've given us all these reports right inside of Seller Central. Unfortunately, most Amazon sellers either aren't familiar with them or just choose not to use them, which can be a big mistake and can lead them to make incorrect business decisions or not make decisions at all. But knowing your numbers is critical to growing your business, and it'll give you the information that you need to turn your business into $1 million a year machine. This lesson will cover some of the more important reports that you have available to you, and will help explain which ones are the most valuable, what information you can get from them, when you might want to use them, and what decisions you can make using each one. Now, the first set of reports that we'll go over are the business reports, and you access those from Seller Central by clicking on Reports and then Business Reports. And by default, this will bring up the sales dashboard, and I can tell you without a doubt that this will very quickly become your very favorite report and maybe even very favorite site on the internet. As your sales start to get going and really ramp up, you will find yourself on here refreshing it multiple times every hour, as every other ASM member will attest to. But other than being a great report to see how you're doing that day, it also can give you some very valuable information that's more than just a snapshot of what's going on that day. So first off, today is Tuesday, June the 11th. This is fresh live data right now. It'll tell you exactly what time the report is accurate of. So this is as of 5:15 p.m. Pacific time. So that's important to note, is that all the times on this report are given in Amazon's time zone, which is Pacific time. So it'll tell you the total number of orders received, the total units. So I've had 55 only on 49 orders, means we've had some multiple products sold on each order. The total number of product sales. This does not take into account any discounts that you've offered or promotions. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that if you're having a big promotion, this is off of the actual price of your product that it's going for without someone using a coupon on it. So that's important to keep in mind. The average number of units you're selling per order, and then the average sales price per order. Now down here, these graphs are great for comparing your sales over time. So this left graph is the number of units, so the number of products you sold, and then the right graph will be the total sales dollars for those units. So they both show the same information. One is just in dollars, one is in units. So I'll cover the first one here, and it'll be applicable for the second one. Now, if you'll notice that as you hover over these reports, the numbers that they give you start changing within there. And what they're doing is they're actually comparing where you're at that point in time to where you were yesterday, the same day last week, and the same day last year. So it's pretty cool to kind of get an idea of exactly where you were at previous points in time, so that you might start seeing and understanding some trends within your business. What days of the week sell better, what or worse. Maybe how you've grown over the past couple of months or years, and how you were doing at the same time last year. Now, I'll take these off here. It's pretty easy to take those off and see a little bit more on here, because it can be cluttered. But as you can see now, I'm just only showing my current sales today. But if I wanted to see where I was last year at the same day, I click on that, and as you can see, nothing was added here, because I didn't make any sales last year on this day. I just launched our products, and I think I'd only sold a couple at this point in time, but on this day, didn't sell any. But let's look at last week now, on today, Wednesday of last week. And there you can see now the yellow one starts showing us what I actually did that day. Also, you can tell that you ended the day last week with 72 units and just over 1,900 in sales. Now let's look at yesterday. You can add that in, and as you can see, yesterday we had an even better day. 84 units ended up at almost 2,400 in sales. But it's really interesting to see how you can compare your current day to previous points in time to start seeing, what days or what hours maybe even you start selling at. For me, after 4 a.m. is when sales start picking up, and then usually after around 8 or 9 p.m. is when they start dropping off. Probably pretty typical for most Amazon customers. You may be different. I do find that since we're selling products in 2 different categories, one of them tends to get more people early in the morning, and one tends to get more people later at night. So you might start seeing the same kind of trends. And on that note, you'll notice at the bottom that they actually will break your sales out by product category. So if you are selling in multiple categories, you'll see them broken out on here. The only thing that this report is missing, that I know everyone wants to see, are your sales by product. So if you're selling for more than one product, all of the sales in these charts and these numbers are combined for all your products, so you won't be able to break those out. That's the only downside here. Now, you can very easily filter the report to any date range you want. It automatically shows you what you're doing today, but you can go ahead and look at the week to date. After you do that, you always have to hit apply. Then you can also do month to date, year to date, and a custom date range where you can go in and apply any date range you want. Let's say you want to look and see how you were doing last month at this point. So for the first 11 days of the month for this month, how did you do for the first 11 days of the month last month? Those are the kinds of information you can get out of this report. Now let's go look at some of the other business reports that are available to us here. And you can access those by going to the left-hand side of the screen. Of course, there's a sales dashboard that we're on. But below that, you'll see 3 reports that are by date, and then several reports that are by ASIN. So the by date reports will take all of your products and summarize your sales data by day. By ASIN is exactly what it says. It's going to take your data and then break things down, not by day, but by your products. You can see exactly how each product is doing. So first, let's go up there and look at the by date reports. There's the sales and traffic report, which is the high-level overview about how your products are doing each and every day. And then I'm going to go to the very next one, the detail page, sales and traffic, because it's basically the same report, but it gives you a little bit more information. So you'll see again, by date, a lot of the same fields here, your total overall product sales, number of products sold, number of orders sold, which will be less or equal to the number of units sold. And then it's going to go over what are called page views and sessions. A page view is anytime a person visits your product detail page. And if a person visits it 3 times that day, it's going to count as 3 page views. A session, however, would give you the same information, but if the same person visits it 3 times, it's only going to count at 1 time because you really want to get a better understanding of how often you're converting that customer, not just how often you're converting someone who visits your page if it's the same person looking at it again. The buy box percentage is how often your product has the buy box. Don't be terribly concerned if your number is not exactly 100 all the time. Sometimes that's completely normal. You may have some other products that Amazon may be selling, one of your used products. It happens usually very, very quickly if a customer returns it and they want to sell an open box product. That'll happen, and sometimes Amazon will get the buy box. If you see your number dropping below 90% or so, that could be a sign that someone else is selling your product. You might want to look into that. Now, over here, they start giving you some percentages that are oftentimes considered conversion rates. So that's how often someone visits your product and ends up buying it, which is a really, really important number. You'll see a lot of people that know what they're doing will tell you that your conversion rate is critical to how well you rank your product as far as certain search terms, and that's absolutely correct. So you want to pay attention to this, and you always want to make sure that your conversion rate or unit session percentage is as high as possible. So one thing to look for trends. So you'll see that it's never the same number. It kind of varies anywhere between 7.5% up towards 10, maybe 11%. Maybe it was a real good day, 13%. You just want to keep track of that. And if you start seeing some days where it gets really low, like for example, here we had some really low conversion rates, and I might want to look into that and find out exactly what was going on that day. But then after that, things start going up again, and we've actually been on a really good trend. We're having conversion rates well over 10%, upwards towards 12%, and I think we're going to be moving up there. This report will give you an idea of exactly how you're moving with that metric. However, one thing people don't know about this report and any other report under the business reports is that you can add other pieces of information. And to do that, simply scroll over to the right-hand side of the screen, and you'll see all the different columns or different metrics you have available to you. So, for example, a great one that I like to look at would be units refunded and refund rate. This is going to tell you if you have any product defect issues. So, do you have a lot of people returning a product? Is it getting worse? Maybe you got a new batch in, and you'll want to check and find out, does your latest inventory order, is it getting refunded more than your first one was? That could be a sign of a product defect. So by clicking on those, they automatically refreshes your report, and it's going to show you that. So you'll see by day how many units were refunded and what percentage that was of all the products you sold that day. And then of course, what this report also does is, in addition to giving you daily numbers, at the bottom, it's always going to give you a summarized version of that. So whatever time period, we're looking at the last 30 days, here is our overall percentage of a refund rate. Here are the total number of units refunded. Here are our average unit percentage rate or conversion rate, total sales, total number of sales, total number of orders. It gives you a real nice snapshot. And the reason I mention that is because that's going to help you see trends. So if you know over the past 30 days, your unit session percentage is 9.71%, then it's nice to look at your last couple days and see how you're doing. There I'm 12%, 10.3%, 9%, 10%, 11%. I'm definitely on an upward trend, which is a good thing. If you see the opposite, it means that you're not converting as well, and you want to look in to see exactly what those reasons are. Now, let's go back over and look at some of the other reports. Those are the ones that are by date, and let's start looking at the by ASIN. Now, these may not be incredibly important to you if you only have one product, but as soon as you start selling more than one product, you definitely want to start looking at each product and how it's performing individually. Now, the next reports over here are the by ASN reports, and that really is by product. And the main one that you'll end up using most likely is the detail page sales and traffic. The other two below it, one is for the parent item, one is for child. If you have products with what are called variations. So they have different sizes or different colors. That'll give you a way to easily break down how each variation or size or color is doing, and you can also look at them combined together by looking at the parent item. But they all show the basic information, so I'll just go over the detail page, sales and traffic, and tell you what I use it for. Now, as you can see here, this doesn't break down your data into dates. So it's going to tell you for the entire date range, so for the last 30 days, May 11th through June 11th, how did each individual product perform? And it'll give you the number of sessions, session percentage, page views percentages. Now, an important thing to know is these numbers here, the page view percentage and session percentage, those aren't conversion rates. Those are for everything that you're selling, for all the products you're selling, which ones are getting the most views by the customers. So as you can see here, this product gets almost 6% of our customers looking at it. This one gets over 30%. So for these two products, that's where 90% of our sales and customers are coming from. And then if you added these all up, they go down to 100%. Now, what I tend to use this report for is looking at the unit session percentage, which is basically the conversion rate. That's going to tell you per product how you're doing as far as, how well you're converting your customers. Over this time period, this product here is selling just, converting just over 10%. This one is converting just about 8.5%. That's over the past 30 days. So if you want to see how you're trending or how you're doing for the past, let's say 4 days, you just need to change the date range. So instead of May 11th, let's start this and look at it Sunday, June the 8th. And you'll notice that 10.18 went up to almost 10.5. And that one that was about 8.5 went up to 10.3%. That tells me, especially here, I've made some great strides in that product. We're converting it almost, 1.75, maybe 2% higher than what we were before. And that is pure money. Exact same money you're spending on advertising or traffic, whatever it is, you're just getting almost 2% more sales. So this report here is a great report to use when you want to figure out how you're doing as far as converting your customers when they get to your product page. Now, I've covered the couple of reports that I use and think are the most valuable, but of course there are other reports here. Feel free to check them out and see exactly what you can get out of them. Sometimes these reports just tell you information in a slightly different format, and you may prefer that format, so by all means check them out. Also, if you want to learn more about the different terms that Amazon uses, such as sessions, session percentage, page views, etc., click on the Learn More link at the top, and that'll pull up a sheet that not only tells you about the business reports in general, but goes over all those different terms, exactly what they mean. But now let's head on over and start looking at the inventory reports by clicking on Reports and then Fulfillment. Now, the Amazon Fulfillment Reports will list out a whole bunch of different reports on the left-hand side, all broken down by section. Inventory reports, there are sales reports, and these are more sales transaction reports. So if you're looking to download a listing of every order made over a certain period of time, or download a listing of every shipment made over a certain period of time, that's where you go to get these reports. They're not the same type of sales reports we just looked at under the business reports. Then there are payment reports, customer concessions, and then removal reports. We're going to go over a couple of reports here, the ones that I think are the most important for you to get started with, but by all means, feel free to check out all the reports that are listed over here. The first report I want to go over is the Inventory Health Report. And if you look over here, you don't actually see it because it's shown only when you click on the Show More. When you do that, then you'll see the Inventory Health Report. Now, for every report on this screen, you'll notice there are two different types. The first one is the viewing online, where you just see the report listed out straight on your screen. And the next option, if you like this, refer this, is to get a download of it. So all you do is click on the Download tab and then click on the Request Download. And Amazon will submit that report to the report system, and it'll start generating it. And it'll actually notify you once the report is ready. And then you can download it and paste it into your spreadsheet application and do all types of filtering and sorting, or maybe just saving that data for future. Now, as you can see here, the report actually is ready for download if I want to download it. And I also got a notification up at the top saying the report is ready. But for this lesson, we're just going to go ahead and view the data online because it's a lot easier to see it right on the screen. So here we're looking at the Inventory Health Report. And one important thing to know about this report and most of the reports in this section is that they are up to date as of whenever you generate them. So for this report, for example, when you generate the Inventory Health Report, it tells you the current status and health of your inventory at that point in time. Now, there are several different useful pieces of information here. However, I find the most useful thing for this report is to use it to determine when you need to reorder so you don't run out of inventory. And to do that, I look at a couple things. One, I look at the total sellable quantity, which tells you exactly for each product how many you have available for sale. Then I go over and look at the number of units that were shipped in the past 30 days. And then Amazon does the math for you and says, based upon those two numbers, here are how many weeks we think that you have of inventory before you run out. So for here, for example, we have 11 more weeks. Here are 7, and down here, look at 5. And when I start seeing things around 5 or 6 weeks and knowing what my lead time is, that's when I start to get concerned and realize that I better have already placed an order, especially if you're sourcing from overseas, where you have maybe a 30-day manufacturing lead time, and then you have to factor in how long it takes to get shipped in. You really want to make sure that you pay attention to this report and do everything you can not to run out of inventory. Now, of course, it's going to happen to everyone, early on especially. It's going to happen once, twice, maybe 3 times or more, because managing inventory is very difficult when you're just starting off and you don't know what your sales are going to be. So if that happens, that's okay. But the important thing here is you start tracking it, you start managing it, you start getting better over time, because you don't want to run out of inventory, because that's simply losing potential sales and revenue you could be having. Now let's go look at the next report, the returns report, and you'll find that under customer concessions and returns. And you will notice that this report does have a time component to it, so you can see every single return that happened in the last day, 3 days, 7 days, and so forth. And when you do that, you just simply select the time frame and then hit generate. And there's 2 reasons that I use this report. One would be just to find out what's happening with our products. Are they being damaged a lot? You won't know if it's damaged during the shipment of it or whether it's from your manufacturer, but it will give you an idea of whether or not your products are having some kind of issues getting to the customers. The other reason is I want to find out actually what's going on with the customers and what kind of issues they're having, so that I can potentially cut off any bad reviews or feedback about the company and maybe even turn them into positive ones too. So over here you'll see the reason listed. Amazon does their best trying to give you the reason for the return, but as you can see here, they don't always push the customer for a reason. So the first one, which I love and you'll see pretty often, is the unknown reason. Don't be frustrated with that. Amazon does not push their customers to give them any reasons, because they want to make sure that customers are feeling as comfortable as possible buying from Amazon. And that's a good thing for all of us, because if a customer is confident and comfortable buying from Amazon, that means they're comfortable buying from us, and they don't have to worry ever about being hassled about not being able to return something. So in the end, this does work out better for us. But they will try to give you some other reasons. You'll see this one, product performance not up to expectations. Another one you'll see is defective, when a product didn't work at all when they got it. So that does give you a good idea of exactly what's going on with the products by the time they get to the customers. Now, like I mentioned here, if you find some customers on here, so this is a great way to take this report and turn it into a positive. Look at what's happening to your customers, and then you can actually click on each order here, get that customer's name and contact information, and then reach out to them and try to make it right for them. A lot of these people here are unhappy with your product or your service or the shipment, or whatever reason it is, they're unhappy, and that's why they returned your product. But if you reach out to them and make personal contact with them, I guarantee you most of those people have never had that happen before, and you will turn them into a very happy person and potentially another happy customer. Happened to us today. We actually had a product that was returned and had a 1-star review on it, but by contacting the customer and offering to do whatever it took to take care of it, which was simply sending them a replacement at our cost, it turned them into a great customer, very happy, and we got a 5-star review out of it. So this report here is a good way to do that, to find people that are unhappy, you can reach out to, and give them the kind of customer service that they absolutely do not receive with other companies, and really set yourself apart from those companies. The next set of reports that we'll look at are the advertising reports. And you access those under Reports and then Advertising Reports. And the first report it pulls up to, out of the 5 that are available, is just a simple performance over time report. And this is just going to tell you for every day and all your campaigns that are actively running, how many clicks you received, what the average cost per click was, and then what your total spend was. Now, one way this is a good report to look at, you can see exactly how your average cost per click is trending. Is it staying around the same, or is it going up? So for me, for example, looks like I have went up the past couple of days. That may be normal, it's not too high, but I can at least keep an eye on that and see if my average cost per clicks are going up and try to determine what the reason is. You can also look and see if your clicks are going down. Are you getting the same amount of traffic or less? Both those things tell you some information about whether or not there are other competitors out there bidding for the same keywords, maybe increasing their bids to get more traffic that you're not getting, or maybe it's just a factor of the fact that there wasn't as much traffic on Amazon that particular day. Now you can also adjust the date range for these reports by selecting the appropriate begin and start dates, and also whether you want to see the information by day, months, and years. Now, the next report is called the Performance by SKU report, and I'm going to mention something about all four of the next reports. Each one of these does not run by itself. You have to tell Amazon that you want them to run these reports. They are not set up by default to run every day, and the way to do that is under each one of these reports, you'll see a schedule report section. Click on the edit button, and then tell Amazon when you want them to run this report for you, every day, every week, or every month, and click submit. Once you do that, every day Amazon's going to go in, or whatever time frame you selected, and they'll run that report for you. And whether or not you want to see that report, you're ready to look at it now, it doesn't matter. It just makes sense to get these all set up, have Amazon run them so that you don't forget about it, and when you actually are running Amazon ads, you start accumulating this data so that you can go back and look and see how things are doing. So this particular report, I do have these all set up to run. It'll just go in there and run, and then you come in at any time you want, download any one of these reports by day, take a look at the information. For this one, it's going to tell you by SKU, so by your product, how well it's doing, how many clicks it received, what the average cost per click was, what the total spend was. So the other one we looked at was more everything combined. This one will be broken down by your product. Now, the next three reports we'll go over, I won't go in as much detail because these are fairly new. They're very, very powerful. They really help you tweak your Amazon ad campaigns. And Amazon's did a good job of explaining exactly how to use a report and when to use a report. So, for example, on the Bid by Keyword report, this report is going to tell you what your bid was for each keyword and then what the average winning bid was for that same keyword. And that's an incredibly powerful tool because that way you'll know if you're bidding too much or too little for your bids. And so let's say you're not getting the traffic that you want on your Amazon ads, and you want to know why. You can go in here and see exactly what are the winning people bidding. You may realize that you can up your bid by a nickel and start outbidding other people, and it's going to be a great story. Or you may realize that some people are bidding $2, $5, $10 just for a click, and it's not worth it because you know they're losing money. So this report here, it really gives you a good idea exactly what it is other people are winning are spending on their ads, and you can make a good informed decision whether or not you want to increase your bids or maybe lower them and adjust your whole ad strategy. The other reports are pretty similar. The other ASN report, this report is really useful too because it tells you every time someone clicked on your ad, what did they actually end up purchasing? So how powerful is that to know that if someone clicked on your ad but ended up buying a competitor, well, there's something about that competitor's product that you want to take a look at and you might want to incorporate with your product. So that's another really good report. And then the last one is the campaign performance report. This one is pretty basic. It's just going to tell you, allow you to look at the history of your campaigns for the past 60 days to see how they're doing. And Amazon actually explains over here some more information on what you might get out of that report. Now, that in no way covers all the reports that Amazon has available for you. I highly suggest that when you do have some time, you go out and at least take a cursory look at each one of these just to see what's out there. You may find some that are beneficial for you. Some of this is a personal preference thing, and some people like to see information presented in a different way. So I would just check them out when you have a chance. We did, however, go over those that we felt were the most important, especially getting started with, and those that provide some core information that you'll want to keep track of and start using to monitor and manage your business in order to take it to the next level as quickly as possible. Now, this video did go way too long. It's not easy to go over these reports in detail. So in the next video, we're actually going to cover Jason's spreadsheet that he uses to manage his own business, and that he actually populates each and every day with information that he's received from the reports that we just went over. That way he has an easily readable format, kind of a snapshot of how his business is running at any point in time. Welcome to Knowing Your Numbers Part 2, how to track and monitor your business data. In this video, we're going to go over a simple yet comprehensive way to track your most important types of business data so that you can better manage your business and make sure that everything's running as smoothly and profitably as possible. Now be sure to watch the previous video in order to see how to run the reports needed to get this information, as well as to understand why this is so important in making your business a success. The Know Your Numbers spreadsheet is actually a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, but it can also be opened up using Google Docs and works basically the same either way. By tracking the data in this spreadsheet, you'll be able to see how different tactics and strategies and some other factors affect the performance of your business. While it may take some time to become familiar with these numbers and what type of adjustments, if any, you need to make when you see certain things, you should still begin tracking it as soon as possible so that you have this data available later on. Some of the data points can only be obtained by gathering them each day. So if you don't start tracking them now, you won't have access to them later on. The report is actually separated into 3 separate tabs, one for sales, one for inventory, and the one that's going to summarize that data into a weekly report. For the sales tab, it's going to help you keep track of your sales by day for each of your products. And it's currently set up just to handle 2 products, but it can just as easily be used for 1 product or even more than 2 products by simply inserting some more columns. Now you get all the information for this report here from the detail page and sales traffic by ASN report, and that's under the business reports in Seller Central. And the pieces of information you want to get off that report are units ordered, gross product sales, sessions, buy box percentage, and unit session percentage. Now, if you want to gather other pieces of information, or maybe you don't want to gather all these, that's okay. These are just the ones that we found are the most important to begin to track. Now, if you do forget to start populating the data in this report right away, this is the one that you can actually go back and get at any point in time. You simply go into the detail page and sales traffic by ASN report and put in a different time frame and go back and populate the rows that you may have forgotten to do. But you want to try to get in the habit of doing this each day so that you start seeing trends in your reports where you can see what's changing from day to day. Now, the next tab is called the inventory tab. And this is going to keep track of several key pieces of product information by day. The primary source of data is the inventory health report, which you can find under the fulfillment report section in Amazon. Now, one important thing to keep in mind is that report can only show you information for the specific point in time that it's ran. You cannot go back in time and get previous historical data on it. So it's important to try to run that report each day and preferably around the same time if possible. If you do miss a day, there's no way to go back and get that information. So that's why you want to get into the habit of running that each day. You'll also need to manually check your product sales rank, or BSR, by going to your product detail page each day. So for each product that you track in here, you want to populate the available units, your sales price, and the sales price you can get from the inventory health report or also your product detail page. That's probably a good place to get it from, because that sales price is not a price that takes into account any kind of promo codes you have going on. It's the same price that if anyone finds your product and goes to your detail page, what they would pay that day. That's the price you want to include here. And then finally, you also want to include your sales rank, which, as I mentioned earlier, you can get by going to your product detail page and scrolling down and looking for that BSR. Now, the last tab is the weekly report. And this actually summarizes together several different key pieces of data in order to get a weekly view or snapshot of how your products are performing. When the week's over, you'll have that snapshot here, and you're going to want to save this by either saving the entire spreadsheet and giving it a name that shows that it's just for that particular week. So for example, the Know Your Numbers spreadsheet for the week ending April 7th would be a name. That's one option. Or you can just keep one spreadsheet going and then take that tab that you put this weekly report on and make a copy of it and give it a name that shows that that particular tab is just for that week, and then you just keep adding tabs as time goes on. Now on this tab, there are 4 different reporting sections we'll go over. And for each one of those reporting sections, you'll get the data out of Amazon from the detail page and sales traffic by ASIN report. The reason we use that report is because, as you'll notice, each of these reports are broken out by product. So you need to have that report that actually breaks things out by ASIN. And you'll need to use the date ranges within that report in order to make sure you're getting the proper values for each one of these days. So for the first section, the sales in units and the sales in dollars section, I call it, you'll need to go in and pull in the number of units you sold for each product on that day, and also the gross product sales for that product on that day. And those both are right on that report. Now what will happen is that the spreadsheet will automatically create the graphs that you see below, which are great visual representations for how your products are doing over time. Now if we scroll down, we'll go to the next section, and this section starts totaling information by week. So it's exactly the same information, units and also gross product sales, but you put in a date range in the detail page and sales traffic by ASIN report in order to come up with these numbers here. And then again, it'll create two graphs below, but it gives you more of a longer view, about a month-long view, how your products are doing week over week. Now let's scroll down and look at the next section. And this one, we're going to start looking at the number of sales and the number of sessions that your products have had. So you simply go in and enter by day for each product, number of units ordered, and how many sessions were recorded. The same things over here, but that's for the other product. And then those graphs will automatically be charted for you down below. Now, it doesn't tell you what your conversion rate is yet, but when we scroll down to the final section, the one that tracks buy box and unit sessions, you'll have to go in and enter the buy box percentage here. And the reason you do that is because the buy box percentage can be an indicator of why your conversion rates might be higher or lower. If someone else has the buy box, chances are you're not going to get that sale and your conversion rate will be lower. So that's why we track that here. But then the unit session percentage, which is also known as conversion rate, that's automatically calculated for you by going back up here and simply taking the units ordered and dividing it by the sessions. And so this is going to be graphed out below again, and it's going to tell you some good trending data for how well your product is converting, and also tell you what other factors may be involved in it. And when you start seeing this information and tracking it over time, you'll have a much better indication of how your product should be converting and when you need to investigate to find out exactly what's going on and why it's not converting as well as it should be. Now, even though you may not be to the point where you think this data will be of value to you, you may not be selling a lot or any right now, you still want to do your best and start tracking it when you do start making sales. This could also be a great job to hand off to a VA or a virtual assistant, but only after you've done it yourself so you know exactly how to do it and what it all means. However, you should become very familiar with the data inside of this report, and you will get to know it and you'll become more familiar with it over time. Trust me, you will. Because later on, it'll be a key and vital component that'll help you optimize and really maximize your business profits. In this video, we're going to go over Amazon Seller Support in order to show you how to use it, which type of contact methods to use, and which situations are best for each. Now, while Amazon is definitely a customer-centric and customer-focused company, they do realize that their sellers provide a vital part of their business. So to help support their sellers, they have a dedicated seller support department and a good set of online documentation to help answer any questions that we might have. Now, to contact seller support, you simply click on the Contact Seller Support button that you'll see on many of the screens here. It's not on the home page, but if you do scroll down to the bottom, you'll always see a Contact Seller Support link down there. And that'll bring you to the main Contact Seller Support page. Now from here, you'll see a list of different issues or topics on the left-hand side, and you simply navigate your way through each one of these until you finally find the right section that you have your issue. And then you'll click on that, and then it'll allow you to enter the information for your issue. Now, a lot of times when you click on the Contact Seller Support button, it will take you to the appropriate section already because Seller Central knows where you're at and they know what issue you most likely have. However, it doesn't always do that. That's why you just can always navigate if you want to the right section. Now, when you scroll down to the bottom, you'll be asked to enter your question, some additional information. Usually it has to do with the product you're talking about, and then what the contact method is, email, phone, or chat. An important thing to note is that if you select the phone option, you do not contact seller support, they contact you. So you'll be putting in your telephone number to have them contacting you. Now, which contact method you choose is definitely up to you and is your preference, but we also want to give you some advice on some situations we found that certain contact methods work better than others. For example, for phone, this is really a good method to use when you have one of two situations. First one, if you have an urgent need and you can't wait for someone to email you back, because that can take up to 24 hours, phone is always a good option to get someone on the phone right away. Also, another good option for phone is when you want someone from Seller Support to walk you through how to do something in Seller Central. Seller Support really does excel at that, at walking you through exactly how to use their system. So a few examples might be how to set up a parent-child relationship, how to go through the brand registry process, or how do you set up a promotion and which of the different promotion methods work best for a situation. Those are some situations that Seller Support can really walk you through on the phone very easily. Now, choosing the email contact method will initiate an email conversation with you and seller support. However, it's a pretty slow and tedious process. It can take up to 24 hours to get a response back, and as many people tell you, you don't usually get the right answer on the first response. A lot of times you'll get a canned response, or they don't quite understand your issue because it's not as simple to have a back and forth conversation like you can on the phone. However, there is a time to use email, and that's usually when you want to document their response. So for example, if you need to get clarification on an Amazon policy, the email method can be really good because that way you have a record of exactly what they told you could and could not do, just in case anything ever happens later on. And the chat option is somewhere in between phone and email, but personally, I think you might be better off just talking on the phone instead of this option, as that way you have a rep's dedicated attention and focus on the phone, whereas in chat, a lot of times they will be talking to and supporting several people at the same time. So if you, of course, if you're outside of the country, outside of the United States, and a phone doesn't really work for you and you want something a little better than email, then absolutely chat might be your best option. Now, the last thing we want to go over is something that Matt talked about in an earlier video about how to remove virtually all negative seller feedback. And the way you do that is by contacting seller support, just like we went through here. However, there's a pretty simple way to do that that I'm going to walk through right now. So here I am back on my Seller Central homepage, and let's imagine that's the first thing this morning, and my plan is that I'm going to go through my customer feedback and look for any negative feedback to review. So I go up to my performance widget, I click on customer feedback, and this will show me my most recent feedback, but I want to make sure I see all of it, so let's click on the view all your feedback. Now, I don't actually see any 1-star ratings on here that I want to have removed, but let's imagine that any one of these is. I'm not going to do it, but let's just picture that it is. Let's say this was a 1-star one. I'm going to highlight the order ID and then copy it. And then I simply go down to the bottom of the screen and click on Contact Seller Support. What that does, that brings us exactly to the right location where I can submit this order and have it removed. Now, of course, I could have navigated here if I wanted to. Just go to the main seller support page, click on orders, click on customer feedback problems. But the point is, I'm in the mode of reviewing my customer feedback, and by doing this all right there, it takes me to this right page and saves me a couple steps. So the next step is to paste in the order ID, and then click check, and then Amazon verifies that it was an order that was fulfilled by them, which makes it available to be considered for removal. So if that was the case, if let's say that the order did not arrive on time, or something on here was incorrect, like Amazon did something wrong during the whole fulfillment process, I simply click on fulfillment by Amazon feedback, because the reason they gave me this review is because an FBA issue. What portion of this feedback qualifies for removal? I'm going to type in all of it and then scroll down and click send message, and within 24 hours that negative review should be removed. Hopefully now you understand a little more about this really good resource we have in seller support, and you know how to use it, which type of contact method to use, and which situations are best for each one.